Hello and welcome to Fields of Battle number 3. Today I will be going over Halberd, a stage that has been in Brawl and Smash 4, and one of the few stages in Brawl to be competitive throughout Brawl's entire competitive lifespan. So, started off, beginning of Halberd. I'm sure everyone knows beginning of Halberd is only like 5 seconds and there are walk-offs on the sides. Now, the main aspect about this, besides the fact that it's a long, flat stage at the beginning with walk-offs except for no edges, is that after a few seconds, you're gonna see stage like something pops up, which is gonna be the main platform you're gonna be fighting on, and after a few seconds, the stage is just gonna vanish. Stage is gonna fall down, basically, whatever you wanna call it. See? That was probably like 6 or 7 seconds into the stage, lots of startup on that, see what's going to happen. I'm just going to briefly cover this part. This part is oftentimes we see both players kind of just vying, not really fight each other, but more often just try to get control of the middle. And if they can, they'll throw each other off and like try to spike them or something as that stage disappears. The main trick to this stage at that part is if you can get someone spiked, either as it's disappearing, or even a little bit before like the stage vanishes, or even if you just get them off the main platform and force them to jump onto the stage, you can kill them because if you spike them into the stage, they have to tech the stage, and then when they tech it, there's a bit of time before they can actually get up and jump again. And then obviously if you get them off stage, have to jump back on stage, you have stage control. You can get a little bit risky, like try hitting them off stage and just following up on them. Yeah, for the most part, it plays very similar to how like you fight in FD at the start, except with both players really trying to get control of the middle for when the stage turns into this, which is the main transition. Now before I actually talk about the layout of the stage, something interesting to note is the main stage itself, you can't fall through, but you can jump through. Which means in Brawl this is particularly powerful with characters like Meta Knight and Game Watch, where you could go to a ledge, go into the stage and just throw out these aerials. And for the most part, safe for the rest of people. They'd be forced to jump up over here, run around areas and roll a lot. And if they jump up over here, you just get free stage advantage. If they roll around a lot, you can read the roll with like a tornado or something, punches them. Which was called sharking. Now in this game, I haven't really seen a character who can really abuse that as well, except Jigglypuff. But even then, if Jigglypuff does that, they're a waste of Punisher. But yeah, for the most part, just remember that as an option where you can jump through the stage and pressure people that are below you, or above you. And it's also just good against stage. Like you don't want to go towards a ledge, your ledge options are limited by Marth or something. Just jump off the stage, go below it. Here you go, you have the entire stage to land. Until you get to this part. Here is another main section of the stage. You essentially fight on that front platform, which I'll get back to later, and this part. Now, this part you can't go through stage, it has regular ledges, or glitches we can go in the middle of the stage, but I won't discuss those glitches, because you can look up other videos for that. Anyway, so, the main aspect of the stage that differentiates it from FD is going to be, there's a platform in the middle continuously. Now, if whoever watched my episode on Battlefield will understand what platforms do and how to use them. So just to summarize with the platform here, you can use it to camp under, you can use it as a landing option, some characters can use it for juggles, and really, it's just a regular platform. Same uses as I described in Battlefield, which I'm not going to go over because I spent a lot of time discussing Battlefield. Anyway, so, there's that platform there. Now, the hazards of the stage are 3 hazards. One is this explosive ball. This thing, you see where it's launched, you have a lot of time to see where it's going to appear. For the most part, as long as you're paying attention, even somewhat to the background of the stage, you can avoid this no problem. Just to showcase how powerful this is. 30 damage. At 8%, it sends Olimar to the edge. I mean, at 8% it sends Marth off stage, and Olimar to a ledge. So when you're like 60%, 70%, 80% with light characters, that'll kill. So the only way you're going to use that is if you're fighting someone and you can throw them into that, because when that ball appears, players generally have 2 reactions. One is just to run away from each other, really just wait that explosive ball out, and go back to fighting afterwards. Or sometimes you see players be more aggressive and try to use that ball to limit the opponent's space so they fight up close, or just throw them into that. So yeah, another thing you see is this claw over there. This claw hovers for a few seconds. It tends to vary a little bit, but you can see in the background when the claw is going to attack. And you can't really tell because both characters are next to each other, but the claw generally, when it stops, is aiming at someone and you know this person's going to attack. So yeah, claw does 10 damage, decent knockback, a lot of it's base knockback, which doesn't scale well with percent. But if someone's like near the ledge over here at 100%, that might kill. It functions similarly to the ball kind of, except it's not actually limiting the stage. You oftentimes see players just like almost enter like a standstill with the claw because unless someone knows for certain that the other players are gonna get hit by the claw, they don't really want to take the risk of getting hit by them, losing like stage control, taking damage, potentially being killed near the ledge. So yeah, that claw is not as big of a deal, but it's much quicker, so you have to be very, very mindful of the claw. I've seen a lot of players in tournaments not even realize the claw is happening. So in this stage, just keep that in mind. This camera pans a little bit to back when the claw like becomes active. So if you notice the camera panning for some weird reason, and you can't see a laser or explosive ball, it's the claw. Another interesting thing about the claw is you can use it to hit your opponent. Like if you run at your opponent and the claw is targeting you, you shield or spot dodge the claw. Your opponent's not going to expect that a lot of times, so you get a free hit on them. And at low percentage you might be able to follow that up. And oftentimes, similar to the ball, you see people that might be aggressive and like you can't really throw a person into a claw, but you can like hit him and keep him in hit stun as the claw appears. Or put them into like these traps, like they have to shield or avoid the claw and then you're punished in defensive option against it. So yeah, overall claw is not a big deal, but you do see really good players utilize that claw. It's something you should take advantage of if you can. Next is the laser. I think the laser is the most intrusive hazard in this stage because even though you have a lot of startup on it, as you can see here, like this is massive. Oh, what? Well. Okay then. I think Martha's gonna die from this laser. Let's see what happens when I do this. Oh my god. You can actually see him bouncing up and down. That's how the laser keeps you in. That's interesting. I didn't know the laser actually bounces you up and down, alternating hitboxes or whatever. Well then. And Martha's still living because of less hit laser than him. Anyway, so laser, as you saw, stays out for quite a bit of time. It has a huge hitbox. It's kind of deceiving because it angles, so it's hard to see like where the actual laser is on stage. But yeah, it picks one person similar to the claw and it locks onto them. And similar to the claw, you guys see like good players who like when they know not be home by a laser, will try targeting the other person, limiting their control, trying to pressure them a lot. So when a laser comes out, they force into a defensive option because they're being targeted. However, not exactly the same thing because characters like maybe Mario, for example, or Lomac, who have enough speed and like mobility to avoid that laser, because usually can use it against a character like Ganondorf or Bowser without much speed, and they can like pressure the character. Once the laser comes, they roll out of the way or something, and their opponents might be locked down by a laser, which is a very common strategy because you see a laser last so long. And so the laser works both ways. Either players can really utilize the laser well, it just depends on the characters and the players' mindsets. But similarly to the explosive ball, and I think more often than not, because the laser generally kills, I guess at 100%, the attacks will knock you so far back that the final hit won't hit you because you're knocked so far back. But let's say like 140% or 50%, if you're in that laser, you get hit by a last hit, it should kill unless it's been nerfed a lot from Brawl. So yeah, but a lot of times you just see the laser, it's like a middle ground between the claw and the explosive ball, but leaning more towards the explosive ball, where both players will just kind of run away from the laser, get their own side of the stage, charge their projectiles, whatever they have to charge, set up whatever they can set up in that meantime, and then go back to fighting once the laser is gone. Although sometimes you see players who want to be a little bit risky and like jump over the laser and approach while the laser is happening, which is almost always a bad idea because you'll be jumping over that laser, which is the only way to get around it. Then you're saying to the opponent, hey look, I'm in the air, this is my only approach, try and hit me. And it's really easy to hit someone in that situation. We know they have to double jump to get to you, or even just full jump. So yeah, it's Claw Ball 2.0. Just don't be next to it, because even if you're not being hit by the multi-hits, the last hit has a bigger hitbox than the rest of it and can kill you. And I think the main thing to watch out for, actually I forgot to mention, is if someone's off stage and the laser targets that ledge or near the ledge, it is extremely hard to deal with, especially in this game where you can't re-get the ledge from invincibility. So like, you might be thrown off stage, laser appears, your opponent rolls away, laser's down the edge guarding you. You grab the ledge of invincibility. What do you do now? The laser's still appearing, your invisibility's gone. You can't roll because you get hit at the end of your roll. You can't jump because you can't jump and air dodge fast enough to avoid the laser. Obviously get up and get up attack won't work. You know, get up to shield has like a 1 frame window where you're not shielding, it's still 1 frame should hit you. And if you fall back, like if you just fall off the ledge, you actually lose invincibility, you can be hit immediately, and obviously when you re-grab the ledge, you have no invincibility, so you should get hit by that. So the main strategy is, if you get caught in the left situation on the ledge, the laser's punishing you, you should probably try, like, if you have a good recovery, jumping back, and then, or even just falling off, then trying to up B over the laser, or even just stall off stage. You have character like Villager, Alamar, even Marth with like a very long recovery, you can go very deep off stage, come back. You can oftentimes just saw that laser out. But for the most part, it's risky. If you're fighting someone, you can get them on that ledge and force them just to do something bad with that laser, go for it. Because even if the opponent deals with the laser well, they're still dealing with the situation. If they're on the ledge, you're on stage, you can do whatever you want on stage while they're being pressured by the laser. So you can charge your charge shot, your Samus, you can change your Pikmin around if you're Holomar, etc. So yeah, just something to keep in mind about the laser. And okay, here we go. This is gonna be the last part of the stage. The stage has about the same amount of time we're fighting on the ship itself and on this part. Now the main thing I'm gonna talk about with this is the platform in the middle, similarly to, well, same as on stage and the ship. But the main thing about the stage, besides being able to go through the stage from underneath, is the slants. Now, at first the slants don't seem like a big deal. Let's get rid of the info. Get rid of this. So at first the slants don't seem like a big deal, but they actually are a huge deal. Because especially with that platform here, what slants do is, as you see here, Olimar is in a lower spot than Marth. If Marth was normally short up Fairme and like a flat stage, that could barely hit my shield, could barely hit me, I'd have to respect it. But in this stage, if Marth goes for a short hop and he's above that slant, what's going to happen? He's going to do a short hop, and he's going to have to wait before he can Fairme. He's going to have to fall down, give me that like 1 second to see what he's doing before he can even throw an aerial out or do anything. And that time I can do anything I want to him. He's in the air, and he's actually higher in the air than normally with a short hop. So, and then he has to watch out for the platform, otherwise he can get stuck on that and stop his pressure and put him in his bad spot. So yeah, the slant is going to make aerial approaches much more difficult, which forces opponents to either take a worse aerial approach because they have a lot more time to react to and a lot more space to work with, or they can approach from the ground. And then certain characters like Diddy Kong or Charizard, who have side Bs that move them horizontally across the stage, also get nerfed for that, because if they're on that above that slant or even on that slant, and Olimar is like right here, a short character is around here, they use that side B, Olimar can duck under it. Sometimes I might just go above him. Actually, I expect Diddy Kong to just go above him flat out. So yeah, being below the slant, being at a lower elevation than your opponent, really forces them to make much more risky and difficult approaches. And so the strategy here is, unless your character just wants to be extremely aggressive and pressure your opponent, you kind of just want to get underneath this platform on the bot, lower side of the slant and force the opponent to come to you, because you can still pressure with projectiles here. You can just threaten to throw attacks out, so like I'm Olimar. So I can still attack from the slant below and hit someone. Toads can do that. Like every character, well most characters, just have good ways of pressure. And even if I short hop, so I'm gonna short hop here. So like I can still get lower, so even if that's punish or that's shield or whatever, I can do a few things. I can mix up by landing on the stage because I did a short hop, so I can land to the ground earlier, so I can do short hop back here. Now, landed already. Instead of having to land on the same height I start from my short hop, I'm gonna give like my opponent the extra second window to attack. They have to respect the fact that it's almost like I'm doing an aerial that auto cancels just because I'm going from a low elevation to a high elevation. And yeah, and then getting around projectiles is annoying because you can't jump around them. You can't like do your horizontal approaches as well. Have this platform above. So overall, with a few exceptions, this slant is just really annoying if you're going against it. And if you're on this stage, you have control of the slant, just keep that. Only other option the opponent really has is on this stage to go underneath the stage. But most characters don't have good ways to go underneath the stage and land on top of it. And obviously going towards the ledge in this game can be very risky. Now the slant itself, being on the slant itself is like a middle ground. Well, it is a middle ground. It has the same effect to a lesser extent. If you have to choose between being where I am as Olimar and then going to slant, if I was most characters, I'd rather be in the slant just so my options aren't as hurt. And obviously I always want to be down here. There are a few exceptions to this though. Characters with projectiles or moves that like angle downwards, so Mario Fireball for example, Olimar's smash, well forward smash actually, and pick and throw. Samus's homing missiles, actually not Samus homing missiles. Me Gunner's grenade special. Just moves that angle down. Well, definitely good here. They don't really, you actually gain advantages because you throw like a Mario Fireball from this slant. Not only does the opponent have to deal with like a different arc than they used to, like if you're fighting Mario on FD and you fight him on this stage, the arc of Fireball is going to be different because he can hit the slant, and the slant itself will bounce projectiles like Mario's Fireball off. And that means different timing. And even then, Mario can actually approach from higher up. He can mix up his Fireball spacings because now Mario can throw a Fireball from higher up or lower up and still catch you and force you to a defensive option. But even then, Mario wants to get underneath the stage, force it to a platform and kind of pressure in the platform. So it's not that Mario gets advantage from that, for example, it's just that he can take use of that. Olimar can spam smashes here and pretty much just keep the opponent locked down, make approaches for anywhere really hard actually. But even then, Olimar's got trouble getting back into the middle of the stage and approaching. And then someone like me Gunner was one of the few exceptions where you can kind of throw a grenade down and cover a lot of options. So your characters who can just throw those arced attacks that are really safe, that have a good amount of range, can use those to force the opponent back a little bit so you can get into the middle of the stage, or if they're trying to approach you. They still have trouble approaching you because they have to, their air approaches are limited, ground approaches are limited, just everything they have is limited, even by the platform. Because they can't just jump around because they might land on the platform. And landing on that platform can be pretty bad. Yeah. Oh, and the last thing to talk about with this stage is it has a lower ceiling than most stages. You can't really tell by looking at it, but generally speaking, I'd say vertical attacks kill about 10%, 15% earlier on this stage, which also means certain characters like Diddy Kong, who normally have like options that kill you early, can kill you even earlier. So Diddy Kong, for example, he can't kill combo Olimar out of down throw. He can't go like down throw up air and kill Olimar 90% with the guaranteed combo, assuming Olimar vectors properly on FD. But now if he does that on Halberd, because of a lower ceiling, he might be able to kill Olimar 80% with up air. And so at 80%, down throw up air might be a legitimate combo even with vectoring. And so as a result, this is a stage that character did combo well because he'll have legit kill combos into legit throw combos into kills at percents you normally wouldn't be able to kill. And even then, characters with lots of vertical killing power, so a character like Olimar, more than that character, Rosalina, Little Mac, just characters who have relatively often use vertical kill moves or setups are really gonna like the stage, and then characters who have combos at grabs or whatever that brings someone near the top of the screen might be able to kill on the stage with those combos instead of having like mix-ups at higher percents to kill. So yeah. So based on this stage, it's gonna function similarly to Battlefield, where you're gonna want to pick characters who really take advantage of the platform, who can really camp and force opponents to approach and then limit approaching options. And that's it. So characters like Rob are gonna like this stage. Samus probably like this stage. I think Lucario would even like this stage. Olimar would like this stage. Diddy Kong would like this stage. Etc. etc. And then obviously characters who kill upwards really well. So I mentioned Rosalina before. Oh, Luigi kills upwards, so he'd probably like the stage for that aspect of it. And yeah, inversely, characters who have trouble approaching and don't really want to camp underneath the platform with the slant or don't really take advantage of it are probably going to avoid this stage. So I don't think Bowser would want this stage at all. I don't think Gandalf would want this stage. I don't think Zero Suit would like this stage that much, etc. And then if you have a character who can shark underneath the stage, like Jigglypuff can, if there's anyone else who can do that, they'd probably like this stage. And finally, for players who are feeling very risky, who are very aggressive, who can put a lot of pressure on the opponents, so someone who means like a very aggressive Falcon or a very aggressive Fox, might pick this stage because at the beginning they can kill their opponents super easily with like a spike, or even just keeping them off the stage, pressuring them, getting some quick kill at the beginning. Or when the stage is on the ship and all the hazards are appearing, like the claw, the laser, and the explosive ball. Those characters who can cover a lot of ground quickly, pressure the opponent, and really force the opponent into the space they want to be at. And then maybe lock off part of the stage and keep the battle up close. If a player is feeling very risky and wants to take advantage of that specific part of the stage, they might pick this stage, but I think that's something more you just have to be aware of if you get counterpicked to this stage. That's something you want to pick this stage for. So yeah, that is the summary of Halberd. This went a little bit over the time limit I want it to be, but whatever, I covered a lot of stuff. I have no idea what I'm going to do for the next stage. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have to cover. I want to cover this stage because I got the slants, hazards, and going underneath the stage, which I feel like are big things, not just in this stage, but there's definitely a lot of stages with similar aspects. And so if you go to a stage like Lilac, for example, with the slants, or Congo Jungle with the, go through the stage from underneath. And I'm trying to think of a stage with a hazard like this. Yeah, if you had a stage like that, these same concepts would apply. So yeah, that's my video.